The roar of helicopter blades cutting through morning air shattered the relative quiet of Metro Industrial Complex, drowning out the steady hum of machinery that typically defined the workspace. Danny Rodriguez wiped grease from his hands with a worn rag, squinting up at the aircraft circling overhead. The luxury helicopter gleamed white and gold against the gray October sky, its corporate logo barely visible from ground level. 8-year-old Emma Rodriguez pressed her face against the chain-link fence that separated the maintenance yard from the executive parking area, her school backpack sliding off one shoulder. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed because tomorrow, I've saved something extra special for you. Her dark eyes tracked the helicopter's descent toward the landing pad adjacent to the towering glass headquarters of Meridian Industries. The contrast between the polished corporate campus and the industrial repair facility couldn't have been more stark. Danny's attention shifted from the helicopter to his daughter, noting the tension in her small frame. Emma had developed an uncanny ability to sense mechanical problems since her mother's accident 2 years ago. The trauma had awakened something in the child, a hypersensitivity to sounds and vibrations that normal people missed. What psychiatrists called hypervigilance, Danny simply recognized as his daughter's way of trying to control an unpredictable world. The helicopter touched down with practiced precision on the executive landing pad. Through the transparent cockpit, Danny could see the pilot running through post-flight procedures while a ground crew secured the aircraft. The main rotor continued spinning, creating downdrafts that scattered loose papers and debris across the tarmac. Emma's fingers tightened around the fence links, her knuckles whitening with unexpected intensity. She tilted her head in that particular way Danny recognized, the same expression she'd worn before correctly predicting the brake failure on Mrs. Chen's sedan 3 weeks ago. "Daddy," Emma whispered, her voice barely audible above the mechanical noise surrounding them. "Something's wrong with that helicopter." Danny crouched beside his daughter, following her gaze toward the executive aircraft. To his trained eye, the helicopter appeared perfectly functional. The engine ran smoothly, the rotors maintained consistent rhythm, and the landing sequence had proceeded without visible complications. Yet Emma's instincts had proven remarkably accurate in recent months, an ability that both impressed and worried him. "What kind of wrong, sweetheart?" Danny asked, keeping his voice gentle while scanning the aircraft for potential issues his experience might have missed. Emma's brow furrowed with concentration, the same intense focus she applied to her elementary school math problems or her mother's old jewelry box that she'd learned to repair through careful observation. "The sound isn't right. It's like when the washing machine makes that funny noise before it breaks." The comparison made sense in Emma's world, where mechanical failures had personal consequences. The washing machine breakdown had meant laundromat trips and quarters counted carefully from Danny's limited budget. Every appliance, every vehicle, every piece of machinery represented potential crisis in their carefully balanced existence. Danny studied the helicopter more closely, his mechanics training automatically cataloging visible components and their apparent condition. The aircraft belonged to the executive fleet, maintained by certified aviation technicians with access to premium parts and unlimited budgets. The contrast with his own work environment couldn't have been more obvious. His repair bay occupied the older section of the industrial complex, where companies sent vehicles too damaged or too old for dealership service. Danny specialized in resurrection rather than routine maintenance, bringing dead engines back to life through creative problem-solving and stubborn determination. His tools were second-hand, his workspace cramped, but his reputation for solving impossible problems kept steady work flowing through the overhead doors. The helicopter's passenger door opened, revealing a figure that commanded immediate attention despite the distance separating them. Victoria Sterling emerged from the aircraft with the confident bearing of someone accustomed to having problems solved before she became aware of their existence. Even from across the industrial yard, her presence radiated authority and wealth. At 34, Victoria had transformed Meridian Industries from a regional manufacturing company into a global technology leader. Her father's mechanical engineering firm had specialized in industrial equipment repair, not unlike Danny's current occupation. But Victoria had recognized opportunities in automation and artificial intelligence that her father's generation couldn't imagine, pivoting the company towards software solutions that revolutionized manufacturing processes worldwide. The transformation had made her extraordinarily wealthy while distancing her from the hands-on mechanical work that had built the family business. She rarely visited the industrial facilities anymore, preferring corporate headquarters and international conference rooms to shop floors and repair bays. Today's helicopter arrival suggested urgency that couldn't be handled through video conferences or executive summaries. Emma tugged at Danny's sleeve, drawing his attention back to her concerns about the aircraft. "Daddy, we need to tell them. The helicopter is going to break." Danny hesitated, considering the social and professional implications of his 8-year-old daughter's mechanical prediction. Victoria Sterling operated in a world of corporate protocols and executive assistance, not spontaneous warnings from children of maintenance workers. The class divide between their respective positions made unsolicited advice potentially problematic. Yet Emma's recent accuracy with mechanical diagnoses had been consistently impressive. She'd predicted the transmission failure in the delivery truck before the driver noticed shifting problems. She'd identified a cooling system leak in the office manager's car while adults remained oblivious to the gradually declining performance. Her intuitive understanding of mechanical systems seemed to transcend her limited technical education. Victoria conferred with several executives who had emerged from the building to meet her arrival. Her tailored business suit and confident gestures conveyed efficiency and control, the bearing of someone who expected problems to be solved quickly and professionally. The scene emphasized the gulf between corporate decision-making and ground-level mechanical reality. Danny watched Victoria check her watch, a gesture suggesting scheduled appointments and carefully managed time. Corporate executives operated according to precise calendars, their movements coordinated through administrative staff and security protocols. The helicopter represented ultimate convenience, eliminating traffic delays and scheduling conflicts that constrained ordinary people. Emma's prediction gnawed at Danny's conscience as he observed the executive group preparing to return to the aircraft. His daughter's mechanical intuition had proven reliable, but approaching a billionaire CEO with warnings based on an 8-year-old's assessment seemed professionally and socially inappropriate. The potential consequences of being wrong included embarrassment, security concerns, and possible employment repercussions. The maintenance yard where Danny worked occupied leased space within the larger industrial complex, his business arrangement dependent on maintaining positive relationships with property management and neighboring tenants. Causing disruptions or security incidents could jeopardize his workshop lease, threatening the livelihood he'd built through years of careful customer service and reputation development. Still, Emma's concern persisted with unusual intensity. She continued studying the helicopter with focused attention, her small hands gripping the fence as if physical proximity might provide additional diagnostic information. The child's mechanical sensitivity had emerged after her mother's fatal car accident, when a routine drive to school had ended in tragedy due to undiagnosed brake failure. Maria Rodriguez had been driving Emma to elementary school on a rainy Tuesday morning when her sedan's brake system failed while descending a steep hill. The vehicle had collided with a delivery truck at the intersection, killing Maria instantly while Emma survived with minor physical injuries but profound psychological trauma. The accident investigation revealed that gradual brake fluid loss over several weeks had compromised stopping ability, a mechanical failure that might have been prevented through earlier detection. Since the accident, Emma had developed hypersensitivity to mechanical sounds, vibrations, and irregular patterns that might indicate pending failures. Child psychologists explain this as trauma response, the mind's attempt to prevent future catastrophe through increased vigilance. Danny recognized it as his daughter's way of trying to protect herself and others from the kind of mechanical surprise that had destroyed their family. The helicopter's engines continued running as Victoria's meeting concluded. Ground crew members stood ready to secure the aircraft for departure, their professional efficiency suggesting routine rather than concern. Aviation maintenance standards typically exceeded automotive requirements, with mandatory inspections and certified technicians ensuring airworthiness through rigorous protocols. Yet Emma's mechanical intuition operated outside official certification systems, detecting subtle patterns and anomalies that standard inspections might overlook. Her successes with automotive diagnoses had convinced Danny that his daughter possessed genuine talent for identifying mechanical problems before they became obvious to trained technicians. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel, it means a lot to us. Now back to the story. Victoria approached the helicopter with her executive entourage, their conversation continuing as they prepared to board the aircraft. Her confidence suggested complete trust in the aviation maintenance protocols that certified the helicopter's airworthiness. Corporate executives rarely question technical systems that enabled their mobility and convenience. Emma's distress escalated as the boarding process began. "Daddy, please. We have to tell them. Something bad is going to happen." The urgency in his daughter's voice overcame Danny's social hesitations. Emma's mechanical predictions had proven accurate often enough to warrant serious consideration, regardless of the awkward social dynamics involved in approaching a billionaire CEO with unsolicited warnings from an 8-year-old child. Danny lifted Emma onto his shoulders, giving her a clearer view of the helicopter while considering approach options. The executive landing pad was separated from the maintenance yard by security fencing and protocol barriers designed to prevent unauthorized access to corporate facilities. Simply walking over and interrupting Victoria's departure would likely trigger security responses rather than productive dialogue. The industrial complex operated according to strict segregation between executive areas and working facilities. Maintenance personnel like Danny rarely interacted directly with corporate executives, their services coordinated through facility management and administrative intermediaries. Social boundaries reinforced economic divisions, creating parallel worlds within the same physical space. Emma's prediction about the helicopter created moral obligation that transcended social convention. If his daughter was correct about pending mechanical failure, the consequences of remaining silent could be catastrophic. Aviation accidents rarely produced survivors, particularly in helicopters where mechanical failures often proved fatal. Danny set Emma down and quickly assessed the situation. Victoria was already climbing into the helicopter's passenger compartment while ground crew prepared for departure. The window of opportunity for intervention was closing rapidly as pre-flight procedures advanced toward engine power-up and takeoff authorization. The mechanics of approaching a corporate executive under these circumstances required careful consideration. Security personnel monitored the executive area, likely trained to intercept unauthorized approaches with professional efficiency. Danny's appearance, work clothes stained with grease and motor oil, would immediately identify him as maintenance staff rather than legitimate business contact. However, Emma's track record with mechanical predictions provided compelling justification for attempting contact despite social and procedural obstacles. Her ability to detect automotive problems before trained mechanics noticed symptoms had proven consistently reliable. The stakes involved in helicopter safety warranted accepting social awkwardness and potential security complications. Danny scooped Emma into his arms and approached the security fence separating the maintenance yard from the executive area. 2 security guards monitored the helicopter departure, their professional alertness suggesting they would respond quickly to any unusual activity or unauthorized approaches. "Excuse me," Danny called across the distance, his voice competing with helicopter engine noise. "There's a problem with the helicopter." The security guards turned toward his voice, their expressions shifting from routine monitoring to active assessment. One guard approached the fence while maintaining visual contact with the helicopter, his posture indicating readiness to respond to potential security threats. "Sir, this is a restricted area," the security guard explained with professional courtesy. "If you have concerns about facility operations, please contact the main office during business hours." Danny recognized the procedural response designed to maintain executive security while deflecting non-essential interruptions. Corporate protocols prioritized efficiency and control over spontaneous communication from unauthorized personnel. The guard's training emphasized orderly processes rather than exceptional circumstances. "My daughter noticed something wrong with the helicopter," Danny persisted, gesturing toward Emma. "She has a gift for detecting mechanical problems before they become obvious. The aircraft isn't safe for flight." The security guard's expression reflected polite skepticism rather than alarm. Danny's claim about his 8-year-old daughter's mechanical diagnosis abilities sounded implausible without context or supporting evidence. Corporate security personnel encountered various attempts to gain unauthorized access to executive areas, making them naturally wary of unusual approaches. Meanwhile, the helicopter's departure preparations continued without interruption. Victoria had settled into the passenger compartment while the pilot completed pre-flight procedures. Ground crew removed safety equipment and cleared the landing area for takeoff. The aircraft's engines increased power output, creating downdrafts that scattered debris and generated noise that complicated communication. Emma's distress intensified as departure became imminent. "Daddy, they're not listening. The helicopter is going to explode." Her specific prediction about explosion rather than generic mechanical failure added urgency to Danny's attempts to gain attention. Emma rarely used dramatic language when describing mechanical problems, typically referring to braking or stopping rather than catastrophic outcomes. The word explode suggested her intuitive assessment had identified particularly serious danger. The second security guard approached the fence, drawn by Emma's emotional state and Danny's persistent attempts to communicate warnings about the helicopter. Corporate security training typically included protocols for managing various threat scenarios, but 8-year-old children predicting aviation disasters likely fell outside standard procedure manuals. "Sir, I understand your concern," the second guard said with practiced professionalism, "but the helicopter receives regular maintenance from certified aviation technicians. The aircraft is fully inspected and approved for flight operations." Danny appreciated the guard's courteous response while recognizing the institutional barriers preventing effective communication of Emma's warning. Corporate systems relied on certification processes and professional credentials rather than intuitive assessment from unauthorized sources. An 8-year-old's mechanical prediction carried no weight against official aviation maintenance protocols. The helicopter's engines reached departure power settings, rotor wash intensifying as the aircraft prepared for liftoff. Victoria remained visible through the passenger windows, her attention focused on mobile device communications rather than ground-level activity around the security fence. Corporate executives operated within carefully managed environments designed to eliminate distractions and unnecessary interruptions. Emma broke free from Danny's arms and pressed against the security fence, her small hands gripping the metal links with desperate intensity. "Please listen to me," she shouted toward the helicopter, her 8-year-old voice barely audible above engine noise. "Your helicopter is going to explode. Don't fly in it." The emotional intensity of Emma's warning created a moment of unexpected stillness among the security personnel. Children's distress often triggered protective responses in adults, regardless of the rationality of their concerns. The guards exchanged glances, weighing procedural requirements against the moral implications of ignoring a child's frightened plea. Victoria's attention was drawn to the commotion at the security fence. Through the helicopter's windows, she could see a maintenance worker and a small child attempting to communicate with security guards. The scene represented unusual disruption to normally routine departure procedures, creating curiosity about the nature of their apparent urgency. The pilot noticed the ground-level disturbance and paused his departure preparations pending resolution of the security situation. Aviation protocols emphasized thorough assessment of all operational conditions before takeoff, including unusual ground activity that might indicate safety concerns or security threats. Victoria opened the helicopter's passenger door, allowing her to hear Emma's warnings more clearly despite engine noise. The child's emotional state and specific reference to helicopter explosion created unexpected concern, even though rational assessment suggested the warnings lacked credible basis. "What's the problem down there?" Victoria called toward the security guards, her voice carrying executive authority that demanded immediate response. The senior security guard approached the helicopter, maintaining professional composure while acknowledging the unusual nature of the situation. "Ma'am, a maintenance worker and his daughter are expressing concerns about the aircraft's safety. The child claims the helicopter is going to explode." Victoria's initial reaction reflected the same skepticism that the security guards had demonstrated. Corporate executives encountered various attempts to gain access or attention through unusual claims and dramatic statements. An 8-year-old's prediction about aviation disaster seemed unlikely to represent legitimate safety concern. However, Victoria's background included extensive experience with her father's mechanical engineering business, where equipment failures often preceded catastrophic consequences. Industrial machinery could indeed explode when internal systems failed in particular combinations, creating dangers that routine maintenance might not detect. Emma's desperate attempts to communicate her warning continued despite the procedural barriers separating her from the helicopter. Her emotional state suggested genuine conviction rather than attention-seeking behavior, creating moral complexity around dismissing her concerns without investigation. "Bring them over here," Victoria instructed the security guards, curiosity overcoming procedural caution. "I want to hear what the child has to say." The decision reflected Victoria's engineering background and parental instincts rather than corporate protocol. Her own son, 7-year-old Marcus, had been staying with his grandmother while Victoria managed the current business crisis. Marcus possessed similar intuitive abilities that sometimes surprised adults with their accuracy. Danny lifted Emma and followed the security guard toward the helicopter, nervous excitement replacing frustration at finally gaining access to the person who needed to hear his daughter's warning. The opportunity to communicate directly with Victoria Sterling represented unprecedented access to corporate decision-making authority. As they approached the aircraft, Emma's mechanical assessment became more specific. She pointed toward the helicopter's engine compartment with confident precision. "The vibration is wrong, and there's a smell like when the lawnmower caught fire last summer. Something inside is getting too hot." Victoria studied Emma's small face, noting the child's focused attention and specific technical observations. The reference to overheating components aligned with legitimate mechanical concerns rather than vague dramatic predictions. Industrial equipment failures often began with subtle temperature increases that preceded more serious problems. "What's your name, sweetheart?" Victoria asked, kneeling to Emma's eye level despite her expensive business suit. "Emma Rodriguez," the child replied with shy confidence. "My daddy fixes cars and trucks, and I help him sometimes. I can hear when engines are going to break before they make loud noises." The explanation provided context for Emma's mechanical sensitivity while highlighting the intuitive nature of her diagnostic abilities. Children often possessed perceptual capabilities that adults had learned to ignore or suppress through formal education and professional training. Victoria turned toward Danny, recognizing his expertise might provide additional perspective on his daughter's concerns. "You're a mechanic here in the complex?" "Yes, ma'am. Danny Rodriguez. I run the independent repair shop in Building 12. Emma has been accurate about mechanical problems consistently since." He hesitated, unwilling to burden a stranger with details about his family's tragedy. "Since when?" Victoria prompted, sensing the unfinished statement contained important information. "Since her mother died in a car accident 2 years ago," Danny explained quietly. "Brake failure that went undiagnosed until it was too late. Emma seems to have developed an ability to detect mechanical problems before they become obvious to trained technicians." The revelation created emotional context for Emma's mechanical sensitivity while establishing credible foundation for taking her warnings seriously. Trauma-induced hypervigilance could indeed heighten perceptual abilities, allowing individuals to detect subtle patterns that others might miss. Victoria's engineering training emphasized systematic assessment of all available information before making critical decisions. Emma's track record with automotive diagnoses, combined with her specific observations about the helicopter's engine characteristics, warranted investigation despite the unconventional source of the warning. "Can you be more specific about what you're noticing?" Victoria asked Emma directly, treating the child as a legitimate technical consultant rather than dismissing her observations based on age or credentials. Emma approached the helicopter with confident purpose, her small frame moving close to the engine compartment. She tilted her head, listening intently to mechanical sounds that adults had learned to tune out as normal operational noise. "The engine is working too hard," Emma explained with 8-year-old directness. "Like when Daddy's truck had to work extra hard before the transmission broke. And there's a burning smell that means something metal is rubbing where it shouldn't be." Victoria inhaled deeply, testing Emma's observation about unusual odors. Corporate executives rarely engaged in hands-on diagnostic procedures, but her engineering background included sufficient technical experience to recognize legitimate mechanical concerns. A subtle acrid scent did indeed accompany the helicopter's normal fuel and oil odors, suggesting potential friction or overheating within the engine compartment. The smell was barely detectable above normal aviation fuel aromas, but Emma's heightened sensitivity had identified the anomaly. Victoria gestured toward the pilot, drawing his attention to the developing situation. Aviation safety protocols required investigation of all potential mechanical concerns, regardless of their source. Professional pilots maintain healthy respect for mechanical failures that could prove fatal during flight operations. "Captain Morrison, we need to shut down and conduct an additional inspection," Victoria announced with executive authority. "There may be an engine compartment issue that requires investigation before departure." The pilot's expression reflected surprise at the change in departure plans, but his professional training emphasized compliance with passenger safety concerns. Aviation regulations prioritized caution over schedule adherence, mandating thorough investigation of all potential mechanical problems. "Ma'am, the aircraft passed its scheduled maintenance inspection yesterday," Captain Morrison explained while beginning shutdown procedures. "All systems tested within normal parameters." "I understand," Victoria replied, "but we have additional information suggesting possible engine compartment overheating. Better to investigate on the ground than discover problems in flight." Emma watched the helicopter engines wind down with visible relief, her mechanical anxiety diminishing as the potential danger was removed. The child's emotional state suggested genuine concern rather than attention-seeking behavior, reinforcing the credibility of her technical observations. Danny observed Victoria's decision-making process with growing respect for her willingness to prioritize safety over schedule convenience. Corporate executives typically operated according to rigid time management, making her flexibility in response to his daughter's warning particularly noteworthy. The helicopter's shutdown revealed subtle mechanical sounds that had been masked by normal operational noise. A high-pitched whining emanated from the engine compartment, suggesting internal friction between metal components. The sound validated Emma's assessment about mechanical stress beyond normal parameters. Victoria's security detail established perimeter around the aircraft while maintenance personnel were summoned for immediate inspection. Corporate aviation protocols included emergency procedures for addressing potential mechanical failures discovered during operational periods. Emma's confidence grew as adult attention focused on her mechanical assessment rather than dismissing her concerns based on age or credentials. The validation of her diagnostic abilities through serious institutional response represented significant recognition of her capabilities. "You were right to trust your daughter's assessment," Victoria told Danny while maintenance technicians prepared diagnostic equipment. "Her mechanical sensitivity appears to be remarkably accurate." Danny felt pride in Emma's abilities mixed with concern about the implications of her trauma-induced hypervigilance. His daughter's mechanical gift had emerged from loss and fear, creating capabilities that impressed adults while representing psychological scars from their family tragedy. The aviation maintenance team arrived with specialized diagnostic equipment designed to identify mechanical problems that routine inspections might overlook. Their professional approach contrasted with Emma's intuitive assessment, representing different methodologies for achieving similar safety objectives. Initial diagnostic readings confirmed abnormal temperature patterns within the engine compartment, validating Emma's observation about overheating components. Metal stress indicators exceeded normal operational parameters, suggesting pending mechanical failure that could have produced catastrophic results during flight. Internal bearing degradation in the transmission assembly, the lead technician announced after reviewing diagnostic data. Temperature readings indicate imminent failure. The aircraft would not have completed a safe flight cycle. Victoria's expression reflected sobering recognition that Emma's warning had prevented potential disaster. Aviation accidents resulting from mechanical failure rarely produced survivors, particularly when transmission problems occurred during flight operations. Emma's mechanical diagnosis had identified a potentially fatal condition that certified aviation technicians had missed during routine inspection procedures. Her trauma-induced sensitivity to mechanical anomalies had detected subtle patterns that standard protocols overlooked. "How did you know?" Victoria asked Emma directly, treating the child as a technical expert rather than curious observer. "The sound was scared," Emma explained with 8-year-old clarity. "Like when machines know they're going to break but can't tell anyone except by making different noises." The anthropomorphic explanation reflected Emma's empathetic connection to mechanical systems, attributing emotional states to equipment based on operational characteristics. Her intuitive understanding transcended technical training, creating diagnostic capabilities that impressed professional technicians. Victoria studied the maintenance diagnostic reports while considering the broader implications of Emma's mechanical sensitivity. Corporate decision-making typically relied on established procedures and professional certifications rather than intuitive assessment from unconventional sources. Yet Emma's accuracy in detecting the helicopter's mechanical failure demonstrated value in perspectives that existed outside institutional frameworks. The child's trauma-induced hypervigilance had created capabilities that professional training hadn't developed in certified technicians. "I owe you both an enormous debt of gratitude," Victoria addressed Danny and Emma with sincere appreciation. "Your daughter's warning prevented what could have been a fatal accident." Danny accepted the acknowledgement while remaining focused on Emma's emotional well-being rather than seeking personal recognition. His daughter's mechanical gift represented both capability and burden, requiring careful nurturing to prevent psychological harm. The helicopter incident created unexpected connection between Danny's working-class background and Victoria's corporate world, bridging social and economic divisions through shared concern for safety and protection. Emma's warning had transcended class boundaries by addressing universal human vulnerability to mechanical failure. Victoria's engineering background and parental experience provided context for appreciating Emma's abilities without exploiting or overwhelming the child. Corporate resources could potentially support Emma's development while respecting the psychological complexity of her trauma-induced sensitivity. As maintenance personnel continued analyzing the helicopter's mechanical failure, Victoria engaged Danny in conversation about his repair business and Emma's diagnostic experiences. The discussion revealed unexpected parallels between their respective approaches to mechanical problem-solving despite vastly different resource levels. Danny's independent repair shop specialized in resurrection of damaged vehicles through creative problem-solving and stubborn determination, not unlike Victoria's early challenges in transforming her father's manufacturing business into a global technology leader. Both required innovative thinking and willingness to challenge conventional approaches. Emma's mechanical sensitivity represented another form of unconventional problem-solving, detecting issues through intuitive assessment rather than formal diagnostic procedures. Her abilities complemented both Danny's practical expertise and Victoria's engineering background, creating potential for collaborative approaches to mechanical challenges. The afternoon sun began casting longer shadows across the industrial complex as the helicopter investigation continued. Emma's initial anxiety about the aircraft had been replaced by fascination with the diagnostic process, her mechanical curiosity engaged by professional technicians validating her observations. Victoria observed Emma's interaction with the maintenance team, noting the child's intelligent questions and thoughtful attention to technical explanations. Emma's mechanical aptitude extended beyond intuitive warning systems to genuine interest in understanding how equipment functioned. "Has Emma received any formal mechanical training?" Victoria asked Danny while watching his daughter examine diagnostic equipment with the maintenance technicians. "Not formal training," Danny replied. "But she spends time in my shop after school, observing repairs and asking questions. She has natural mechanical intuition that seems to develop through exposure rather than instruction." Victoria recognized similar patterns from her own childhood experience in her father's engineering business, where hands-on observation had provided practical education that complemented formal academic learning. Emma's mechanical development followed comparable pathways despite different socioeconomic circumstances. The helicopter maintenance team confirmed that immediate replacement of transmission components would be required before the aircraft could return to service. The mechanical failure would have produced catastrophic results if flight operations had continued without addressing the bearing degradation Emma had detected. Emma's warning had prevented disaster through timely intervention, demonstrating the practical value of her trauma-induced mechanical sensitivity. Her abilities represented positive adaptation to difficult circumstances, creating protective capabilities that benefited others beyond herself. Victoria's appreciation for Emma's diagnostic accuracy extended beyond immediate gratitude toward recognition of broader potential applications. Corporate aviation safety could benefit from additional perspectives that existed outside established certification systems, particularly intuitive assessment capabilities that detected subtle anomalies. The industrial complex's afternoon shift change brought increased activity as workers transitioned between day and evening operations. Danny needed to return Emma to their routine of homework assistance and dinner preparation, responsibilities that continued despite the afternoon's extraordinary circumstances. "Before you go," Victoria addressed Danny and Emma, "I'd like to discuss this situation further. Your daughter's abilities could be extremely valuable for preventing similar mechanical failures in other contexts." Danny hesitated, protective instincts triggered by wealthy strangers' interest in his daughter's capabilities. Emma's mechanical sensitivity resulted from psychological trauma, making her abilities both remarkable and fragile. Corporate exploitation could damage her emotional development despite offering financial opportunities. Victoria recognized Danny's caution and respected his parental protectiveness. "I'm not suggesting anything that would disrupt Emma's normal childhood development," she clarified. "But her diagnostic abilities could save lives if applied appropriately to safety assessment situations." Emma listened to the adult conversation with interest rather than concern, her mechanical curiosity engaged by discussion of practical applications for her abilities. The child's resilience and confidence had grown throughout the afternoon as professional validation reinforced the value of her observations. "We can talk about it," Danny agreed cautiously, "but Emma's well-being comes first, regardless of any other considerations." Victoria nodded her understanding and appreciation for Danny's priorities. Parental protection represented values she shared despite their different circumstances. Her own son Marcus required similar careful attention to emotional development while encouraging his individual capabilities. The helicopter incident had created unexpected connection between their families through shared experience and mutual respect. Emma's warning had bridged social divisions by addressing universal concern for safety and protection, establishing foundation for continued relationship despite different backgrounds. As they prepared to part ways, Victoria provided contact information for future communication. "Thank you both for preventing what could have been a tragic accident." Emma's courage in speaking up despite social barriers demonstrates remarkable character. Emma beamed with pride at the recognition while remaining grounded in her practical understanding of mechanical systems. The afternoon's validation had reinforced her confidence without inflating her ego, maintaining healthy perspective on her abilities and their applications. Danny gathered Emma's school backpack and prepared for their return to normal routine, though the day's events had introduced elements that might change their circumstances significantly. Victoria Sterling's interest in his daughter's mechanical abilities represented opportunities that required careful consideration. The walk back to Danny's repair shop provided opportunity for father-daughter conversation about the afternoon's extraordinary events. Emma processed the experience through her 8-year-old perspective, focusing on the successful prevention of mechanical failure rather than the social implications of their interaction with a billionaire CEO. "I'm proud of you for speaking up even when the adults weren't listening at first," Danny told Emma as they approached his workshop. "Your warning saved lives today." Emma nodded with simple satisfaction before shifting attention to more immediate concerns. "Can we have pizza for dinner? And will you help me with my math homework?" The transition from preventing aviation disaster to elementary school mathematics reflected Emma's resilience and adaptability. Her mechanical abilities existed alongside normal childhood concerns, requiring careful balance to preserve her emotional development while recognizing her special capabilities. Danny's repair shop occupied familiar space filled with partially disassembled vehicles and diagnostic equipment, representing the practical reality of their daily existence. The contrast with Victoria's corporate environment emphasized the social distance that Emma's warning had temporarily bridged through shared concern for safety. Yet the afternoon's events suggested potential for continued connection between their different worlds, based on mutual respect and complementary capabilities rather than economic disparity or social obligation. Emma's mechanical sensitivity represented value that transcended class boundaries by addressing universal human vulnerability to equipment failure. As evening approached and normal routine resumed, Danny reflected on the day's events while helping Emma with homework at the small desk he'd constructed in the corner of his workshop. The simple wooden furniture represented his practical approach to providing stability despite limited resources. Emma's mechanical abilities had attracted attention from one of the most powerful corporate executives in the region, creating possibilities that could transform their circumstances while potentially threatening the careful balance Danny had established following his wife's death. The helicopter incident had demonstrated Emma's remarkable diagnostic capabilities while highlighting the psychological complexity of her trauma-induced sensitivity. Her abilities represented both gift and burden, requiring thoughtful development to maximize benefits while protecting her emotional well-being. Victoria's respectful approach and engineering background suggested potential for collaboration that honored Emma's capabilities without exploiting her circumstances. Corporate resources could support the child's development while respecting Danny's parental authority and protective priorities. The day's events had established foundation for relationship that transcended typical socioeconomic boundaries through shared values and mutual respect. Emma's warning had created connection based on substance rather than circumstance, demonstrating potential for meaningful collaboration despite different backgrounds. As Danny helped Emma complete her mathematics assignment, he considered the possibilities and responsibilities that Victoria's interest might create. His daughter's mechanical abilities could indeed save lives if applied appropriately, but her childhood development remained the paramount consideration. The workshop's familiar sounds and smells provided comforting background as normal routine continued despite the afternoon's extraordinary circumstances. Emma's mechanical sensitivity would remain remarkable capability regardless of whether corporate opportunities developed from her helicopter warning. The evening concluded with Emma's bedtime story and Danny's reflection on parental responsibilities that had become more complex following the day's events. His daughter's abilities attracted attention that could benefit their circumstances while requiring careful protection of her emotional development. Emma fell asleep easily despite the afternoon's excitement, her natural resilience allowing quick transition between extraordinary events and normal childhood requirements. The 8-year-old's adaptability impressed Danny while reinforcing his determination to preserve her stability. The helicopter incident had introduced elements that might significantly change their circumstances, but Emma's mechanical abilities existed independently of external recognition or corporate interest. Her diagnostic capabilities represented intrinsic value that would continue developing regardless of future opportunities. Danny's workshop remained filled with partially completed repairs that required attention the following day, normal business operations continuing alongside consideration of possibilities created through Emma's warning about Victoria's helicopter. The practical reality of their daily existence provided grounding despite extraordinary circumstances. The day had demonstrated that mechanical expertise could bridge social divisions when applied to shared human concerns about safety and protection. Emma's abilities transcended class boundaries by addressing universal vulnerability to equipment failure, creating connection between different worlds through substance rather than circumstance. As Danny secured his workshop for the evening, he appreciated the stability represented by familiar routine while acknowledging that Emma's remarkable abilities might create opportunities requiring careful evaluation. His daughter's mechanical sensitivity represented both blessing and responsibility in their continuing journey through life's challenges and possibilities. 3 weeks after the helicopter incident, Danny Rodriguez found himself standing in an elevator that cost more than his annual rent, ascending to the 42nd floor of Meridian Tower. The polished steel walls reflected his uncomfortable expression as he adjusted the collar of his best dress shirt, purchased specifically for this meeting with Victoria Sterling. Emma pressed her face against the floor-to-ceiling windows as the elevator climbed, her breath fogging the glass while she watched the city shrink beneath them. The 8-year-old had insisted on wearing her Sunday dress, the navy blue one with white flowers that her grandmother had sewn for Easter service. Her mechanical sensitivity hadn't diminished since the helicopter warning, but her confidence had grown exponentially. The elevator's silence was broken only by Emma's occasional observations about the building's construction. "Daddy, the cables sound really smooth. Like they get checked all the time." Her comment reminded Danny that his daughter's heightened awareness extended to all mechanical systems, not just those in crisis. Victoria's assistant, a professionally dressed woman named Caroline, had arranged this meeting through a series of phone calls that gradually revealed the scope of what the CEO had in mind. The conversation had evolved from simple gratitude to something more complex, involving Emma's unique abilities and their potential applications in industrial safety assessment. Danny's natural skepticism about wealthy people's motives warred with his growing financial pressures. The helicopter incident had generated unexpected publicity that brought both positive attention and unwanted scrutiny to his small repair business. 3 local news stations had featured stories about the little girl who saved a billionaire, creating customer traffic that his modest shop couldn't accommodate. The elevator doors opened to reveal a reception area that resembled an art museum more than a corporate office. Abstract paintings hung on cream-colored walls, while fresh orchids adorned surfaces of furniture that probably cost more than Danny's truck. Emma's eyes widened at the opulence, but she maintained the respectful composure her father had emphasized during their preparation for this meeting. Caroline emerged from behind a curved reception desk, her professional smile genuine rather than perfunctory. "Mr. Rodriguez, Emma, Miss Sterling is looking forward to speaking with you. She's asked me to give Emma a small tour of the innovation lab while you two discuss business matters." Danny's protective instincts immediately activated. Separating from Emma in unfamiliar territory triggered anxiety rooted in his single-parent hypervigilance. Since Maria's death, he rarely allowed Emma out of his direct supervision, particularly in situations involving wealthy strangers with unclear motivations. "I prefer to keep Emma with me during business discussions," Danny replied diplomatically. "She's quite mature for her age and won't be disruptive." Caroline nodded understanding. "Of course." Miss Sterling anticipated that preference. She's arranged for the meeting to take place in the family conference room, which includes activities to keep Emma engaged while you discuss the technical aspects of her proposal. The compromise acknowledged Danny's parental authority while accommodating Emma's presence in ways that respected both adult business needs and childhood attention spans. Victoria's consideration for family dynamics suggested experience with similar situations, possibly through her own single-parenting responsibilities. They proceeded through corridors lined with floor-to-ceiling windows that offered panoramic views of the metropolitan area. Emma's mechanical curiosity was drawn to the building's climate control systems, whose subtle hums and vibrations created background symphony that only she seemed to notice. "The air conditioning works really hard up here," Emma observed to Caroline. "All these windows make it difficult to keep the temperature even." Caroline paused, genuinely impressed by the child's technical observation. "You're absolutely right. The building's environmental systems require constant adjustment to compensate for solar heating through the glass facade. Most adults never notice those details." Emma's mechanical awareness created immediate credibility that transcended her age, establishing her as a legitimate technical observer rather than merely an accompanying child. Her insights demonstrated the practical value of intuitive mechanical assessment in contexts beyond emergency warnings. Victoria Sterling appeared at the end of the corridor, her presence commanding attention despite casual business attire that contrasted with Danny's formal preparation. She wore dark slacks and a simple white blouse, professional but approachable, suggesting this meeting carried personal rather than strictly corporate significance. "Danny, Emma, thank you for coming," Victoria greeted them with warmth that seemed genuine rather than performative. "I've been looking forward to continuing our conversation about Emma's remarkable abilities." The family conference room contained a large wooden table surrounded by comfortable chairs, with one end configured as a children's activity area featuring puzzles, books, and building blocks. floor-to-ceiling windows provided dramatic city views, while softer lighting created atmosphere more conducive to personal conversation than formal business negotiation. Emma immediately gravitated toward the activity area, her attention captured by a complex mechanical puzzle that required manipulating interlocking metal components to achieve specific configurations. The toy represented sophisticated engineering principles disguised as entertainment, challenging spatial reasoning and problem-solving skills. Victoria observed Emma's interaction with the puzzle, noting the child's systematic approach to understanding the mechanical relationships between components. That puzzle was designed by one of our engineers for his own daughter. It teaches principles we use in manufacturing equipment design. Danny settled into a chair that probably cost more than his monthly grocery budget, maintaining alertness despite the comfortable surroundings. Wealthy people's generosity often carried hidden costs that became apparent only after commitment was established. His working-class background had taught him skepticism about offers that seemed too beneficial to be legitimate. "I want to be direct about why I've asked you here," Victoria began, her tone transitioning to executive efficiency. Emma's mechanical sensitivity represents a unique capability that could prevent industrial accidents and save lives. I'm proposing a consultation arrangement that would utilize her abilities while respecting her childhood development and your parental authority. Danny appreciated the straightforward approach while remaining cautious about the underlying implications. Corporate consultations involving 8-year-old children sounded inherently problematic, regardless of the child's exceptional abilities or the company's stated good intentions. "What specifically are you proposing?" Danny asked, maintaining professional demeanor despite his internal reservations. Victoria activated a wall-mounted display screen that showed industrial facility layouts and safety assessment protocols. Meridian Industries operates manufacturing plants across 6 states. Despite rigorous safety procedures and professional inspections, we've experienced 12 equipment failures in the past 18 months that resulted in production delays and worker injuries. The presentation revealed the scope of industrial operations under Victoria's management, with facilities producing components for automotive, aerospace, and consumer electronics industries. Each plant employed hundreds of workers whose safety depended on equipment reliability and effective maintenance protocols. Emma looked up from her mechanical puzzle, drawn by the technical discussion and visual displays. Her interest in industrial equipment matched her sensitivity to mechanical problems, creating natural engagement with topics that might bore other children. In each case of equipment failure, Victoria continued, post-incident analysis revealed warning signs that our certified technicians had missed during routine inspections. Subtle vibrations, temperature variations, and operational irregularities that became obvious only after catastrophic failure occurred. Danny recognized parallels with automotive repair challenges, where expensive breakdowns often resulted from minor issues that could have been addressed preventively if detected early. The principle applied across mechanical systems regardless of their scale or complexity. Emma's ability to detect the helicopter's transmission problems before certified aviation technicians identified the issue suggests her sensitivity could provide valuable supplementary assessment for our industrial equipment, Victoria explained. I'm proposing periodic facility visits where Emma would observe equipment operations and provide her intuitive assessment of mechanical conditions. The proposal sounded reasonable in principle while raising numerous practical and ethical concerns. 8-year-old children didn't typically serve as industrial safety consultants, regardless of their exceptional abilities or the potential benefits of their participation. Emma abandoned her puzzle to approach the display screen, studying facility layouts with genuine interest. "Are these the places where you make things?" she asked Victoria directly. "That's right," Victoria confirmed, kneeling to Emma's eye level. "We make parts for cars, airplanes, and computers. But sometimes our machines break down, and people can get hurt when that happens." Emma nodded solemnly, understanding the connection between mechanical failure and human safety. Her mother's death had resulted from automotive equipment failure, creating personal motivation for preventing similar tragedies through early problem detection. "I could listen to the machines and tell you if they sound scared," Emma offered with 8-year-old directness. "Scared machines make different noises before they break." Victoria's engineering background helped her appreciate Emma's anthropomorphic description of equipment distress. Mechanical systems did indeed produce characteristic sounds and vibrations when operating outside normal parameters, patterns that trained operators learned to recognize through experience. Danny observed the interaction between Victoria and Emma, noting the CEO's respectful treatment of his daughter as a technical consultant rather than an amusing child with unusual claims. Victoria's own parenting experience likely contributed to her ability to communicate effectively with 8-year-olds while taking their observations seriously. Before we discuss any arrangement, Danny interjected, "I need to understand the practical details. How often would these visits occur? What safety protections would be in place? How would Emma's school schedule be accommodated?" Victoria returned to her chair, switching to business mode while maintaining personal warmth. "I envision monthly visits to one facility, scheduled during school breaks or weekends. Emma would be accompanied by you and our safety personnel at all times. The assessments would involve observing equipment from safe distances, with no direct contact or exposure to hazardous operations." The parameters addressed Danny's immediate safety concerns while acknowledging his parental authority and Emma's educational priorities. Monthly frequency seemed reasonable for supplementing existing safety protocols without overwhelming the child or disrupting normal family routines. "What compensation are you proposing?" Danny asked, uncomfortable with discussing money while Emma was present, but needing to understand the financial implications of such an arrangement. $5,000 per assessment visit, Victoria replied without hesitation, plus all travel expenses and accommodations. Additionally, establishment of an educational trust fund for Emma's future college expenses, contributed to annually regardless of the consultation arrangement's duration. The numbers struck Danny like physical impact. $5,000 per month would transform their financial circumstances, eliminating the constant anxiety about rent, utilities, and Emma's basic needs that had dominated his existence since Maria's death. The educational fund represented opportunities he'd never imagined being able to provide for his daughter. Yet the generous compensation also triggered Danny's skepticism about hidden motivations or unreasonable expectations. Wealthy people didn't typically offer life-changing money without expecting proportional returns on their investment. Emma had returned to the mechanical puzzle, but Danny could tell she was listening to the adult conversation while processing the technical aspects of Victoria's proposal. His daughter's maturity often surprised him, though he remained protective of her emotional development despite her exceptional abilities. "That's extremely generous compensation," Danny acknowledged, "but I'm concerned about the long-term implications for Emma. Her mechanical sensitivity results from psychological trauma. I don't want commercial applications to interfere with her emotional healing or normal childhood development." Victoria's expression reflected appreciation for Danny's parental priorities. "I share those concerns completely. My own son Marcus is 7, and I understand how challenging it can be to balance exceptional abilities with normal childhood needs." The revelation that Victoria had a son near Emma's age provided context for her sensitivity to child development issues. Single parents, regardless of their financial circumstances, faced similar challenges in nurturing their children's unique capabilities while preserving their innocence and emotional well-being. "What I'm proposing isn't traditional employment," Victoria continued. "Think of it as educational opportunity with compensation. Emma would be exposed to advanced industrial technology while contributing her unique perspective to safety improvement. The experience could enhance her mechanical understanding while serving practical purposes." Danny considered this reframing, recognizing potential educational benefits alongside financial advantages. Emma's mechanical curiosity would naturally engage with industrial equipment, making facility visits feel like field trips rather than work obligations. Emma successfully solved the mechanical puzzle, the complex metal components aligning to form a stable structure. She looked up with satisfaction, having achieved the solution through systematic experimentation and logical reasoning. "I figured it out," Emma announced proudly. "All the pieces want to fit together, but you have to listen to how they're supposed to connect." Victoria smiled at Emma's explanation, which contained insight applicable to industrial design principles. that's exactly how our manufacturing equipment works. All the components need to fit together properly, and listening to how they interact helps us understand when adjustments are needed. The successful puzzle solution demonstrated Emma's mechanical aptitude extended beyond intuitive problem detection to systematic understanding of component relationships. Her abilities encompassed both diagnostic sensitivity and analytical reasoning, creating comprehensive mechanical intelligence that could indeed prove valuable in industrial contexts. Danny's resistance to Victoria's proposal began softening as he observed Emma's natural engagement with technical challenges and Victoria's respectful treatment of his daughter's capabilities. The arrangement might indeed provide beneficial experiences while addressing legitimate safety needs at industrial facilities. "I'd want to visit the facilities myself before agreeing to bring Emma," Danny stipulated, establishing parental oversight as a non-negotiable condition. "And any arrangement would need to include immediate termination rights if I determine the situation isn't appropriate for her." "Absolutely," Victoria agreed immediately. "Your parental judgment takes priority over any business considerations. We can arrange facility tours for you to evaluate safety conditions and operational procedures before making any commitments involving Emma." The willingness to accommodate Danny's protective requirements suggested genuine respect for his parental authority rather than token acknowledgement designed to secure his cooperation. Victoria's own single-parent experience likely contributed to her understanding of such concerns. Emma approached the adults, having completed her exploration of the activity area. "Can I see where you make the car parts?" she asked Victoria directly. "I'd like to hear what the big machines sound like when they're working properly." Victoria consulted her schedule on a tablet device. "We could arrange a tour of our automotive components facility next weekend, if your father agrees. It's only 2 hours from here, and they produce transmission parts for several major manufacturers." The timing worked well with Danny's schedule, and automotive components aligned closely with his professional expertise. The facility tour would allow him to evaluate working conditions while Emma could assess industrial equipment in her area of greatest mechanical sensitivity. "I think that would be acceptable," Danny agreed, surprised by his own willingness to consider Victoria's proposal seriously. A trial visit to see how Emma responds to industrial equipment and whether the arrangement seems beneficial for everyone involved. Victoria's satisfaction was evident but restrained, suggesting she understood the tentative nature of Danny's agreement. Single parents developed sensitivity to situations that might benefit their children while remaining alert to potential exploitation or inappropriate pressure. Emma's excitement about visiting industrial facilities was genuine and immediate. "Will there be really big machines? Bigger than the ones in your shop, Daddy?" "Much bigger," Danny confirmed, his own curiosity about modern manufacturing processes complementing Emma's mechanical interests. The facility tour would provide educational value for both of them, regardless of whether ongoing consultation arrangements developed. Victoria activated another display screen showing the automotive components facility, with virtual tour capabilities that allowed detailed examination of production areas. The plant appeared modern and well-maintained, with obvious attention to safety protocols and worker protection measures. "This facility produces transmission components for hybrid and electric vehicles," Victoria explained. "The precision requirements are extremely demanding, and equipment reliability directly affects product quality and worker safety." Emma studied the facility layout with focused attention, identifying production lines and equipment configurations with remarkable accuracy for someone without industrial experience. Her mechanical sensitivity extended to understanding complex systems through visual analysis, not just auditory and tactile assessment. "The machines look happy in this picture," Emma observed, using her characteristic anthropomorphic descriptions. "But sometimes machines can look good but still have problems inside that make them worry." Victoria appreciated Emma's insight while recognizing the sophisticated technical understanding beneath her childlike language. Industrial equipment could indeed appear functionally normal while harboring internal problems that would eventually cause failure. The facility tour was scheduled for the following Saturday, allowing Danny to complete his weekly repair commitments while providing Emma with something to anticipate. Her excitement about industrial machinery balanced her natural mechanical sensitivity with genuine curiosity about how complex systems functioned. As the meeting concluded, Victoria provided contact information and detailed facility safety protocols for Danny's review. The documentation demonstrated serious attention to worker protection and visitor safety, addressing his primary concerns about exposing Emma to industrial environments. "One final question," Danny said as they prepared to leave. "Why Emma? Surely there are professional consultants with similar diagnostic abilities who could provide the assessments you're seeking." Victoria considered the question thoughtfully before responding. Emma's sensitivity isn't just about detecting mechanical problems. It's about caring whether people get hurt. Professional consultants have technical expertise, but they don't have her emotional connection to preventing tragedies. That combination of ability and motivation is remarkably rare. The explanation resonated with Danny's understanding of his daughter's psychological development. Emma's mechanical sensitivity had emerged from loss and trauma, creating protective instincts that extended beyond her own safety to encompass others' well-being. During the elevator descent, Emma processed the meeting's implications with 8-year-old directness. "I like Ms. Sterling. She listens to what I say about machines instead of thinking I'm just a kid making things up." Danny recognized the validation Emma had experienced through adult recognition of her capabilities. Since the helicopter incident, his daughter's confidence had grown as more people took her mechanical assessments seriously rather than dismissing them as childhood imagination. The drive home through afternoon traffic provided opportunity for father-daughter conversation about Victoria's proposal and its potential implications for their lives. Emma's enthusiasm was tempered by Danny's continued caution, but he found himself increasingly open to possibilities he would have rejected outright just weeks earlier. The financial security offered by Victoria's arrangement could eliminate the constant stress that had dominated Danny's existence since Maria's death. $5,000 per month would cover their basic living expenses while allowing him to build savings for Emma's future needs and his own business expansion. Yet money alone couldn't justify exposing Emma to situations that might harm her emotional development or exploit her trauma-induced abilities. Danny's primary responsibility remained protecting his daughter's well-being, regardless of financial opportunities or professional recognition. Emma fell asleep during the drive home, exhausted by the social demands of adult conversation and overwhelmed by the day's new experiences. Danny observed her peaceful expression in the rearview mirror, reminded of her fundamental vulnerability despite her exceptional mechanical abilities. The following week brought unexpected developments that added urgency to Victoria's proposal. Danny's repair shop received a visit from investigators representing Meridian Industries insurance company, conducting inquiries about Emma's helicopter warning and its implications for aviation safety protocols. The investigation revealed that the helicopter's transmission failure represented a broader pattern affecting similar aircraft across multiple operators. Emma's diagnostic accuracy had identified a manufacturing defect that standard maintenance procedures hadn't detected, potentially preventing numerous accidents through her single warning. Federal aviation authorities had expanded their inquiry to encompass all helicopters manufactured with similar transmission components, grounding dozens of aircraft pending comprehensive mechanical inspection. Emma's intuitive assessment had triggered regulatory response that could prevent multiple tragedies. The broader implications of Emma's mechanical sensitivity became increasingly apparent as insurance investigators documented her track record of automotive diagnoses. 3 of the vehicle problems she'd identified had involved safety-critical systems that could have caused accidents if they'd failed during operation. Danny found himself fielding phone calls from journalists interested in featuring Emma's story, automotive safety organizations seeking her consultation, and mechanical engineering researchers curious about her intuitive diagnostic methods. His daughter's abilities were attracting attention that extended far beyond Victoria's industrial applications. The media interest created both opportunities and challenges for their family privacy. Emma enjoyed the recognition of her mechanical talents, but Danny worried about exploitation by people who saw her abilities as commercial opportunities rather than psychological adaptation to trauma. Victoria called Thursday evening to discuss the weekend facility tour and address concerns raised by the insurance investigation publicity. Her tone conveyed understanding of Danny's protective challenges while maintaining enthusiasm for their planned collaboration. "I want you to know that our arrangement isn't dependent on media attention or regulatory implications," Victoria assured him. "Emma's value to our safety program exists independently of public recognition or government interest in her capabilities." Danny appreciated the reassurance while remaining alert to changing circumstances that might affect Emma's well-being. Public attention could be positive or negative, depending on how it was managed and whether it remained focused on Emma's abilities rather than her personal story. The weekend facility tour proceeded as scheduled, with Danny and Emma arriving at the automotive components plant on Saturday morning. Victoria met them personally, demonstrating her commitment to the arrangement while ensuring Emma's first industrial experience proceeded smoothly. The facility impressed Danny with its obvious attention to safety protocols and worker protection measures. Clean, well-lit production areas featured modern equipment with comprehensive safety systems and emergency procedures clearly posted throughout the workspace. Emma's initial reaction to the industrial environment was curiosity rather than anxiety. The large-scale machinery fascinated her, though she maintained respectful distance while observing equipment operations and listening to mechanical sounds that other visitors couldn't distinguish. "The big machines are working really hard," Emma observed after 15 minutes of observation. "But they sound confident, like they know exactly what they're supposed to do." Her assessment provided baseline understanding of normal equipment operation, establishing reference point for detecting abnormal conditions during future visits. Industrial machinery operating within proper parameters produced characteristic sounds and vibrations that Emma could learn to recognize. The facility tour included meetings with production supervisors and maintenance personnel, who demonstrated professional skepticism about 8-year-old diagnostic capabilities while remaining politely receptive to Victoria's explanation of Emma's track record. Emma's interaction with industrial workers revealed her natural ability to communicate technical observations in terms that professional mechanics could understand and evaluate. Her childlike language contained sophisticated insights about mechanical relationships and system performance. "That machine over there sounds worried," Emma pointed toward a large stamping press after 30 minutes of facility observation. "Not scared like it's going to break right now, but concerned like something isn't quite right." The production supervisor responsible for the stamping press initially dismissed Emma's observation, but Victoria insisted on immediate diagnostic evaluation. Maintenance technicians discovered hydraulic pressure irregularities that fell within acceptable operating parameters but suggested gradual system degradation. Further investigation revealed seal wear that would have caused hydraulic failure within several weeks if left unaddressed. Emma's early detection allowed preventive maintenance that avoided production shutdown and potential safety hazard to equipment operators. The successful diagnosis on Emma's first industrial visit established her credibility with facility personnel while demonstrating practical value of her mechanical sensitivity in preventing equipment failures. Workers who had been skeptical about child consultants began appreciating Emma's contributions to their safety. Danny observed the interaction between Emma and industrial personnel, noting her natural comfort with mechanical environments and genuine interest in understanding complex equipment operations. The facility visit felt educational rather than exploitative, supporting Victoria's characterization of the arrangement as beneficial experience for Emma. The production supervisor requested Emma's assessment of additional equipment, curious about her diagnostic methods and impressed by her accuracy with the stamping press evaluation. Her observations identified 2 other pieces of machinery that required attention, though neither represented immediate safety concerns. Emma's facility visit concluded with positive feedback from production personnel and management staff, establishing foundation for ongoing consultation relationship. Her mechanical sensitivity had proven valuable in industrial context while remaining appropriate for child participation under proper supervision. The drive home provided opportunity for Danny to process the day's events and evaluate his comfort level with continuing the arrangement Victoria had proposed. Emma's obvious enjoyment of the industrial environment and positive interaction with facility personnel addressed many of his concerns about exploitation or inappropriate pressure. "I really like seeing how the big machines work together," Emma reflected during the drive. "It's like they're all part of one really complicated puzzle, and each piece has to do its job properly for the whole thing to work right. Her technical understanding had clearly advanced through exposure to industrial operations, supporting Victoria's contention that facility visits would provide educational benefits alongside practical applications of Emma's diagnostic abilities. Danny called Victoria Sunday evening to confirm their ongoing participation in the consultation arrangement, with specific provisions for protecting Emma's emotional well-being and maintaining his parental authority over her involvement in industrial assessments. The financial security offered by the arrangement would allow Danny to expand his repair business while ensuring Emma's future educational opportunities. More importantly, her mechanical abilities would contribute to preventing industrial accidents that could injure or kill workers in manufacturing facilities. Emma's trauma-induced sensitivity to mechanical problems had evolved into capabilities that served others' safety needs while providing positive recognition of her unique talents. The arrangement with Victoria offered constructive application of abilities that emerged from tragedy, creating meaning from loss while building toward future opportunities. The consultation relationship represented collaboration between different worlds united by shared commitment to preventing mechanical failures that endangered human lives. Emma's sensitivity transcended socioeconomic boundaries by addressing universal vulnerability to equipment malfunction, creating value that benefit both corporate operations and worker safety. Victoria's respectful treatment of Emma's abilities and Danny's parental concerns established foundation for ongoing partnership based on mutual benefit rather than exploitation or dependence. The arrangement acknowledged Emma's exceptional capabilities while preserving her childhood development and family stability. As October progressed into November, Emma conducted monthly facility assessments that prevented 3 significant equipment failures while providing her with exposure to advanced industrial technology. Her diagnostic accuracy continued impressing professional maintenance personnel who initially doubted child consultation abilities. The educational trust fund established for Emma's future college expenses grew through Victoria's annual contributions, ensuring opportunities that Danny's limited resources couldn't have provided independently. Financial security allowed him to focus on Emma's emotional development without constant anxiety about their economic survival. Emma's confidence and technical understanding expanded through facility visits and interaction with industrial personnel who valued her contributions to their safety. Her mechanical sensitivity had evolved from trauma response into positive capability that served constructive purposes while earning adult recognition and respect. The arrangement with Victoria Sterling demonstrated that exceptional abilities could bridge social divisions when applied to shared human concerns about safety and protection. Emma's diagnostic sensitivity transcended class boundaries by addressing universal vulnerability to mechanical failure, creating connections based on substance rather than circumstance. Danny's repair business benefited from the financial stability provided by Emma's consultation income, allowing him to upgrade equipment and expand services without borrowing money or compromising quality standards. Professional growth complemented personal security in improving their overall circumstances. Emma's mechanical abilities continued developing through diverse exposure to automotive, industrial, and now manufacturing equipment. Her diagnostic sensitivity remained remarkably accurate while her technical vocabulary expanded to encompass increasingly sophisticated mechanical concepts and system relationships. The weekly routine established around monthly facility visits created structure that accommodated Emma's school schedule while providing anticipated events that engaged her mechanical interests. The arrangement felt sustainable rather than overwhelming, supporting long-term collaboration rather than short-term exploitation. Victoria's own son Marcus had begun participating in some facility visits, creating friendship between children from different backgrounds united by mechanical curiosity and parental protection. Emma's social development benefited from interaction with peers who shared her intellectual interests while respecting her unique abilities. The consultation relationship had evolved beyond business arrangement into genuine partnership between families committed to preventing industrial accidents while nurturing children's exceptional capabilities. Trust developed through demonstrated mutual respect and shared values rather than financial obligation or professional convenience. Emma's story attracted attention from mechanical engineering researchers interested in understanding intuitive diagnostic methods that complemented formal technical training. Her abilities represented phenomenon worthy of academic study while remaining fundamentally practical in preventing equipment failures and protecting worker safety. The collaboration with Victoria Sterling provided Emma with adult mentorship that supported her mechanical development while respecting Danny's parental authority and protective priorities. Corporate resources enhanced rather than replaced family relationships, creating sustainable partnership that served everyone's legitimate interests and needs. The thunderstorm arrived without warning on a humid Tuesday afternoon in late spring, transforming the Meridian Industries facility tour into an emergency shelter situation. Emma Rodriguez pressed her small hands against the reinforced glass windows of the manufacturing plant's break room, watching lightning illuminate the industrial parking lot while rain hammered the building's metal roof. Victoria Sterling stood nearby, her phone pressed to her ear as she coordinated with facility security about weather protocols and visitor safety procedures. The planned inspection of new robotic assembly equipment would have to wait until the severe weather passed, leaving Emma, Danny, and Victoria temporarily stranded in the break room with several plant workers who couldn't safely reach their vehicles. Danny checked his watch, calculating the time until Emma's evening dance class and hoping the storm would clear before they needed to drive home. Their monthly consultation visits to Meridian facilities had become routine over the past 8 months, but severe weather complications were new territory that tested everyone's adaptability. Emma's attention shifted from the storm to unusual sounds coming from somewhere deeper within the manufacturing building. Her mechanical sensitivity had become increasingly refined through exposure to diverse industrial equipment, allowing her to distinguish between normal operational noise and subtle irregularities that might indicate developing problems. "Something's not right with the big press machine in Section 4, Emma announced to the adults in the break room, her 8-year-old voice cutting through conversation about weather delays and production schedules. The plant supervisor, a weathered man named Frank Martinez who had initially been skeptical about child consultants, immediately stopped his conversation to focus on Emma's assessment. Her diagnostic accuracy over previous visits had earned his respect and attention, transforming skepticism into genuine appreciation for her mechanical insights. "The storm knocked out power to Section 4 about 10 minutes ago," Frank explained. "Emergency generators are maintaining basic lighting, but production equipment is shut down until utility power returns." Emma shook her head with the confidence she developed through months of successful mechanical diagnoses. "The machine isn't shut down. It's still running, but it shouldn't be. Something's making it work when it's supposed to be stopped." Her observation created immediate concern among plant personnel familiar with the Section 4 hydraulic press, a massive piece of equipment capable of generating tremendous force during metal forming operations. Emergency shutdown procedures were designed to prevent exactly the kind of continued operation Emma was describing. Frank activated his radio to contact the Section 4 maintenance team, requesting immediate status report on hydraulic press operations. The response confirmed Emma's assessment with alarming accuracy. Emergency shutdown protocols had failed, leaving the massive press operating at reduced power despite electrical system disruption. Victoria recognized the serious safety implications of Emma's warning while coordinating emergency response through her phone communications with corporate security. Malfunctioning industrial equipment during power outages created multiple hazard scenarios that required immediate professional attention. "Frank, we need to evacuate Section 4 and implement lockout procedures," Victoria directed with executive authority, her corporate leadership experience extending to emergency management situations that threaten worker safety. The plant supervisor immediately initiated evacuation protocols while maintenance personnel prepared to manually shut down the malfunctioning hydraulic press. Emma's timely warning had identified a dangerous situation that could have resulted in serious injuries if workers had attempted to service equipment they assumed was safely shut down. Danny observed the emergency response with growing appreciation for Emma's continued development as an industrial safety consultant. His daughter's mechanical sensitivity had evolved far beyond automotive applications to encompass sophisticated industrial systems that professional technicians sometimes found challenging to diagnose. Emma remained calm during the emergency evacuation, her confidence boosted by adult recognition of her diagnostic accuracy and immediate response to her safety warnings. The validation of her mechanical assessments had transformed anxiety about equipment failures into proactive problem-solving that protected others from potential harm. The Section 4 evacuation proceeded smoothly as workers cleared the area around the malfunctioning hydraulic press. Emergency lighting provided sufficient visibility for safe movement, while maintenance personnel approached the equipment with proper safety precautions based on Emma's warning about continued unauthorized operation. Manual shutdown procedures successfully stopped the hydraulic press, confirming that electrical control systems had indeed failed during the power outage. Investigation revealed that backup power systems had partially energized equipment that should have remained completely shut down, creating exactly the dangerous condition Emma had detected through sound analysis. Victoria's phone conversation with corporate headquarters resulted in immediate deployment of specialized maintenance teams to address the electrical system failure and prevent similar problems at other facilities during severe weather events. Emma's diagnostic accuracy had potentially prevented accidents across multiple industrial locations. The thunderstorm began subsiding as emergency repairs continued in Section 4, allowing natural light to supplement emergency generators while maintenance crews worked to restore full electrical power. Emma's attention returned to storm observation, satisfied that her mechanical warning had been properly addressed by facility personnel. Danny reflected on the afternoon's events as evidence of his daughter's remarkable growth from traumatized child to confident safety consultant whose abilities commanded respect from experienced industrial professionals. Emma's mechanical sensitivity had found constructive application that served others while supporting her own emotional development. Frank Martinez approached Emma with genuine gratitude for her timely warning about the hydraulic press malfunction. "You probably saved several people from serious injuries today," he told her with sincere appreciation. "That press could have hurt someone badly if they'd tried to work on it thinking it was safely shut down." Emma accepted the recognition with 8-year-old modesty while clearly understanding the significance of her contribution to workplace safety. Her ability to detect mechanical problems had evolved from personal protection mechanism into valuable skill that prevented others from experiencing the kind of equipment-related tragedy that had affected her own family. Victoria concluded her emergency coordination calls as facility power was restored and normal operations resumed. The afternoon's crisis had demonstrated Emma's continued reliability as an industrial safety consultant while highlighting the broader implications of her diagnostic abilities for preventing workplace accidents. "I want to discuss expanding your consultation role," Victoria addressed Danny and Emma as they prepared to leave the facility. "Today's emergency response shows that Emma's abilities could be valuable for developing better safety protocols across all our operations." The proposal represented significant expansion of Emma's involvement with Meridian Industries while acknowledging her proven track record in preventing equipment-related accidents. Corporate recognition of her abilities had grown from initial curiosity to genuine operational dependence on her diagnostic insights. Danny considered the implications of increased responsibility for Emma's industrial safety consulting while maintaining focus on her emotional well-being and childhood development. Financial benefits had already transformed their circumstances, but expanded commitment required careful evaluation of long-term impact on his daughter's psychological health. Emma expressed immediate enthusiasm for greater involvement in industrial safety improvement, her mechanical interests engaged by opportunities to prevent equipment failures at multiple facilities. Her trauma-induced sensitivity had evolved into positive career direction that aligned with her natural talents and protective instincts. The drive home provided opportunity for father-daughter conversation about Victoria's expansion proposal and its potential effects on their family routine. Emma's maturity and enthusiasm for industrial safety work suggested readiness for increased responsibility, while Danny remained cautiously protective of her emotional development. Their modest apartment had been transformed through Emma's consultation income into comfortable living space with updated appliances and furnishings that reflected improved financial security. The educational trust fund established by Victoria continued growing toward Emma's future college expenses, ensuring opportunities that transcended their working-class background. Emma's mechanical abilities had attracted attention from mechanical engineering professors at the State University, who were interested in studying her intuitive diagnostic methods and their potential applications for training future technicians. Academic recognition complemented industrial applications while suggesting research possibilities that could benefit broader engineering education. Danny's repair shop had expanded into larger facilities with updated equipment purchased through financial stability provided by Emma's consultation work. His business reputation had grown through association with Meridian Industries safety programs, attracting customers who valued his connection to advanced industrial operations. The collaboration with Victoria Sterling had evolved into genuine friendship between single parents who shared protective instincts and commitment to their children's development. Marcus Sterling and Emma Rodriguez had become close friends despite different socioeconomic backgrounds, their bond strengthened by shared experiences with exceptional parental expectations. Emma's story had attracted media attention that Danny carefully managed to protect his daughter's privacy while acknowledging public interest in her remarkable diagnostic abilities. Feature articles in mechanical engineering journals documented her industrial safety contributions without exploiting her personal tragedy or childhood vulnerability. The consultation arrangement with Meridian Industries had established Emma as the youngest industrial safety consultant in corporate history, her diagnostic accuracy preventing dozens of equipment failures and potentially saving numerous lives through early problem detection. Professional recognition complemented personal growth as trauma-induced abilities found constructive application. Victoria's proposal for expanded safety consulting represented natural progression of Emma's successful industrial assessments while requiring careful consideration of increased time commitment and responsibility pressure. Corporate growth opportunities needed balance with childhood development priorities to ensure long-term sustainability. Emma's mechanical sensitivity continued developing through diverse exposure to industrial, automotive, and aerospace equipment during consultation visits to various Meridian facilities. Her diagnostic vocabulary had expanded to encompass sophisticated engineering concepts while maintaining the intuitive approach that made her assessments uniquely valuable. The educational benefits of industrial facility exposure had enhanced Emma's technical understanding while providing practical application for classroom mathematics and science concepts. Academic performance had improved through hands-on experience with complex systems that brought theoretical knowledge to life through direct observation. Danny's parental confidence had grown through witnessing Emma's successful adaptation to industrial consulting responsibilities while maintaining normal childhood interests in social development. His protective instincts remained strong, but experience had demonstrated that appropriate challenges could support rather than threaten his daughter's emotional well-being. The financial security provided by Emma's consultation income had eliminated the constant anxiety about basic living expenses that had dominated Danny's existence since his wife's death. Stable income allowed focus on Emma's development and his own business growth rather than survival-focused decision-making that limited long-term planning. Victoria's respectful treatment of Emma's abilities and Danny's parental authority had established trust foundation that supported ongoing collaboration without exploitation or inappropriate pressure. Corporate partnership had enhanced rather than replaced family relationships, creating sustainable arrangement that served everyone's legitimate interests. Emma's diagnostic accuracy had earned recognition from federal safety agencies interested in incorporating her assessment methods into industrial inspection protocols. Government attention suggested potential for broader application of her abilities while requiring careful protection of her privacy and childhood development needs. The weekly routine established around monthly facility visits had created structure that accommodated Emma's school schedule while providing anticipated events that engaged her mechanical interests. Time management had become an essential skill as consultation responsibilities expanded alongside academic and social commitments. Marcus Sterling's friendship had provided Emma with peer relationship that understood exceptional abilities and parental expectations without competitive pressure or social jealousy. Their bond demonstrated that meaningful connections could transcend socioeconomic differences through shared experiences and mutual respect. The collaboration between Danny's practical mechanical expertise and Victoria's corporate resources had created synergy that enhanced both perspectives while serving industrial safety improvement. Working-class knowledge combined with executive authority produced results that neither could achieve independently. Emma's trauma-induced mechanical sensitivity had transformed from psychological adaptation into professional capability that prevented industrial accidents while supporting her emotional healing through constructive application of abilities that emerged from loss. Purpose had replaced pain as motivation for her exceptional diagnostic skills. The success of Emma's industrial safety consulting had demonstrated that exceptional abilities could bridge social divisions when applied to shared human concerns about protection and prevention. Her diagnostic sensitivity transcended class boundaries by addressing universal vulnerability to mechanical failure. Victoria's commitment to Emma's educational development through the trust fund and mentorship opportunities had ensured that her abilities would continue developing through formal engineering education. Corporate investment in her future reflected genuine appreciation rather than short-term exploitation of her unusual talents. Danny's repair business growth had provided additional employment opportunities for local mechanics while establishing his reputation as trainer for diagnostic techniques inspired by Emma's intuitive methods. Professional development complemented personal success in improving their community's economic circumstances. The monthly facility assessments had prevented over 40 equipment failures during Emma's first year of industrial consulting, saving Meridian Industries millions in production costs while protecting worker safety through early problem detection. Quantifiable results validated the investment in her unusual diagnostic capabilities. Emma's confidence in technical understanding had expanded through facility visits and interaction with industrial personnel who valued her contributions to their safety. Professional recognition had supported her emotional development while providing positive outlet for abilities that originally emerged from psychological trauma. The arrangement with Victoria Sterling had created sustainable partnership between families from different backgrounds united by shared commitment to preventing mechanical failures that endangered human lives. Trust and mutual respect had overcome initial skepticism about class differences in unconventional consulting arrangements. Emma's story inspired other children with unusual abilities to find constructive applications for their talents while demonstrating that trauma-induced sensitivities could become sources of strength rather than permanent psychological burden. Her success provided hope for therapeutic approaches that emphasized capability development rather than deficit correction. The collaboration had established Emma as pioneer in intuitive industrial diagnostics while preserving her childhood development through careful balance of professional responsibility and age-appropriate activities. Her achievements demonstrated that exceptional children could contribute meaningfully to adult concerns without sacrificing their fundamental need for protection and nurturing. As summer approached, Emma prepared for expanded consultation role that would include development of training materials to teach other children with mechanical sensitivity how to apply their abilities constructively. Her experience would benefit others while establishing her as mentor despite her young age. Victoria's proposal represented culmination of successful partnership that had grown from emergency helicopter warning into comprehensive industrial safety program. Emma's abilities had found perfect application in preventing equipment failures while her family had achieved security and opportunity that transcended their original circumstances. The future held promise for continued growth and achievement as Emma's mechanical sensitivity matured into professional expertise that would serve industrial safety throughout her career. Her trauma-induced abilities had become foundation for lifetime dedication to preventing the kind of equipment failures that had originally shaped her exceptional diagnostic capabilities. Up next, you've got two more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out.